It's time! Welcome to our new show, Monday Revelations. It's going to be a show about sports, gambling, and what's going on with the world. And I got to be honest, there were three people growing up that I loved listening to when it came to sports. It was Dan Patrick, Stuart Scott, and Paul Allen on the local radio calling Minnesota Vikings games. My parents and I were either in the field or cleaning up the barn. And I feel the time is right now in my life to not only start a show like this, but to have a fight in the sporting world, if you will. And right now, I got to be honest with everybody, I have a huge fire in my heart and a rather large chip on my shoulder to not only get this going and make it successful, but to also make an impact. And right now, I really want to do something like this. And with the references I have and the people I know, I feel we can make it applicable to just about everybody that's going to listen. This show is going to be fun. It is going to be interactive. And it's also going to be helpful if you're looking to make a few gambles and help pay for that vacation, if you will, with you and the old lady. With all that said, here come the boys.
Here come the boys. Y'all ready to go swimming, baby? Come on. Give it up. Get out of that water. I tried telling y'all, it's swim lessons, baby.
Today's show is going to be jam-packed. We've got two great guests that are going to come on after a little bit here. With Paul Allen is going to be one of them. Paul Allen is the voice of the Minnesota Vikings and also Canterbury Horse Park, as well as Jason Dunn. Jason Dunn played 8 years for the Kansas City Chiefs. He played along with some great players like Priest Holmes, Trent Green, Tony Gonzalez, just to name a few. But also, just so everybody knows, nothing's happening to the regular Swim Lessons podcast. They're still going to be available every Wednesday morning with our long, free-form conversations with special guests. This week's guest is a good one. It's with Greg Pruitt. Greg Pruitt is the founder of the Little Buddy Foundation and also the Killdeer boys head basketball coach. And Greg Pruitt's a very interesting guy. I really like chatting with him. He's very inspirational. And it's the first time I ever cried on the podcast because the story he told at the end was amazing. So make sure you check that out on Wednesday morning. But right now, we've got a lot going on with the NBA right now. Rules and regulations have been something big that's been going on. The last 2 minutes I find interesting of an NBA game because transparency has been a big thing for the league. Refs are looking to make the right call, but my big thing is the momentum of the game totally gets lost, and basketball is a game of runs, so it gets lost in these last 2 minutes when they keep stopping the game, trying to get the calls right. And I get what they're trying to accomplish when getting the right calls because it can be big in a game. But these like moving screens and stuff like this, it's kind of touch and go. And I mean, when you look at a guy like Rick Carlisle is the head coach of the Indiana Pacers. He sent in over 70 plays to the league this last week. And that series has been interesting because he is saying the Pacers are a small market team and the NBA isn't giving them the calls because they don't want a small market team to make the finals, stuff like that. But my big thing to Rick Carlisle and the Indiana Pacers, I get it. You might be getting hosed on a few calls, which they were. I'm not arguing that. But look at teams like Oklahoma City and the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're small market teams. They're making it. So it's a little crybaby-ish for Coach Carlisle. I mean, look at what other things he's done. I mean, substitutions, especially down the way, have been questionable. Timeouts on momentum runs. And I'm not saying Rick Carlisle and the Pacers aren't good, but I'm just saying there are things like that you can go to. But I digress. I don't know where the NBA can go with that or where they can go. I'm interested to see how people comment on that. But there's definitely room for improvement with the NBA. I know ratings have fell with the playoffs this year, and the NHL has really taken off, which is great. But with all that said, let's shift our focus to the Nuggets-Wolves series, which I've been paying a lot of attention to. Are the Wolves dead in the water? Are they dead in the water? So the first two games of that series, Minnesota goes into Denver, wins 2 on the road, and that was amazing. And that makes their playoffs 6 games. They had 6 wins in a row. Okay, then they have 4 days off. Jamal Murray had the calf issue. He gets to heal up for 4 days. They come to Minnesota, and the Nuggets dominate. I mean, there's no way to get around that. Jamal Murray looked like he was back to almost 100%, and the Nuggets look like the championship team they are, and they look like they might repeat. Fast forward to Sunday night, that was kind of a must-win in my mind for the Timberwolves because You give up that game, you go back to Denver, and you're going to probably face Ball Arena, which is going to be crazy loud, crazy impactful on the game. And you might go down 3-2 after going up 2-0. So last night, Sunday night, they lose that game and lost by double digits again. And it was just insane to me. And I don't understand what's going on with the Wolves right now, but I don't feel they're dead in the water. The series is 2-2 right now, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward. But the Nuggets, they look like their old championship self. I mean, they've dominated the last 2 games. And I think personally for the Timberwolves, and I know I got a lot of T-Pup fans that listen to this, when you've got a guy like Anthony Edwards who can win any game you are in, you have a chance when you have a guy like Ant. I think Coach Finch goes on the plane to Denver, and he gets on the plane, and I think he just looks back and goes, "Ant, you on here? Okay, good. We're ready for takeoff." Like he just has to take over this game. Now, is Rudy Gobert going to have a big impact? Is Cat going to have a big impact? Of course, those guys will. But I think the missing piece is Naz Reid. Naz Reid, 6th man of the year, has played exceptionally well the first 2 games, but these last 2, he's been kind of a little sus. And I think Jokic is getting the best of him right now, and I don't think Naz can get in his head too much about that because Jokic gets the best at everybody. Just won MVP this year. So I'm really looking forward to that series. I believe, and I firmly believe this, whoever wins that series is going to win the NBA championship. And I know the East has the Boston Celtics, but the Boston Celtics have struggled against Cleveland. They really have. And I think Boston's a great team, don't get me wrong, but I think our NBA championship right now is being played against the Nuggets and Timberwolves. Whoever wins that is going to have a big shot at winning it all. And that leads us to the Dallas series. I mean, Dallas is up 2-1 right now. They're doing okay. Oklahoma City, the same thing. They're doing okay. In New York, the Knicks are so banged up. I don't know what they're going to do. And also, I think the Pacers, do they have everything needed to go on a championship run? I needless to say, time will tell, but I don't think so. So I think right now, Boston out of the East, and then the winner of Timberwolves Nuggets, those 2 meet up in the finals, and that should be a good finals. I'm not saying Boston can go on a little bit of a run, but I think our championship series right now is between the Timberwolves and Nuggies. And that brings me to this week's Play of the Week, which was from Sunday night's victory against the Nuggets and Timberwolves. This was a big swinging play. This was a swinging play because Jamal Murray gets the steal, runs up to half court, and makes a crazy half court shot, which was sick as hell about it, is he made it right in front of the TNT crew, and we're going to play that for you right now.
Porter at the other end, and he tries, and he gets
Porter gets the steal.
Beating the clock. Court length. It's intercepted. Murray good at the goal. Got it! A big-time 3! Oh, what a shot!
Right when Minnesota had this in single digits, 2 turnovers that were huge, a 5-point swing for the Nuggets. I am stunned right now.
8-0 run, a Reggie Miller run in the final 15 seconds of the first half.
And look at Jamal Murray.
So just like Kevin Harlan and Reggie Miller just got done saying, 8-0 run to end the first half. Wolves had it down to single digits. Jamal Murray makes that half-court shot, which swung everything back the Nuggets' way, and that was our clip of the week, and it was a big one. And Jamal Murray looks back to his normal self. Switching gears now to the NFL. Schedule's coming out this week. Can't wait for that. The draft was awesome. A lot of teams made some moves that we saw coming. Some made some moves that we didn't see coming. And that leads us into our first guest. He's Paul Allen of the Minnesota Vikings. He's also the voice of the Vikings and Canterbury Horse Park. And we talked to Paul about the draft, where he sees the Vikings football organization moving, and how things have been going for him. So we give you now Paul Allen of the Minnesota Vikings. I've had the pleasure of working for these guys, and hey, podcast listeners, you're going to want to follow these guys on YouTube. That is Game Day Media, more than a game. Your leader in live sports coverage in Northwest North Dakota. At Game Day Media, our goal is to expose student athletes, support, and promote the best athletes that North Dakota has to offer. Subscribe to Game Day Media ND on YouTube and find them on Facebook. That's Game Day Media, and follow them to find schedules, quick links to games, and stats. Enable alerts and make sure you watch for upcoming events that Game Day Media has. Again, Game Day Media, more than a game.
Yo, what's up here, D? Hold on a second.
No worries, PA.
What's going on, my brother?
How are you? Thanks for coming on.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Paul?
Hold on.
One, two.
Hello?
There we go. Can you hear me, Paul?
Yep, I got you. Hold on.
All right.
Yeah, I got you good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, crystal clear. How are you, man? Thanks for doing this.
Good. Good. No problem, man. Always here to help you, my brother.
I appreciate it. Well, let's hop right in it. I know you got a spare 10 minutes here, but first off, thanks for coming on the show like we talked about. Did you have a chance to watch the Tom Brady roast?
I didn't watch the roast. I've heard a lot of clips out of it, and I've seen some highlights of it.
What were your thoughts?
My initial thought was if I was Tom Brady, I would be unimaginably uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If I had known the severity and the darkness and really the out of bounds, in my estimation, nature that was coming at me, I would not have agreed to it.
Right.
Now, maybe I'm the idiot, and like, okay, hey, it's a roast. Haven't you seen roasts? Okay. Well, maybe he kind of knew what was coming. But, I found myself, thinking, no matter how his marriage ended, no matter how bad it was or how amicable it was, to be the ex-wife and to be the kids in a day of internet immortality where they may not be old enough to get something now, but this is Tom Brady. And the first time that they're able to get online and see what people said about their dad, I mean, how do you flip that? So yeah. I'm not a sanctimonious human being by any stretch, but I just at the end of the equation, what hit my heart most was all of that.
No, that's spot on. Exactly what I thought as well. Shifting gears a little bit here, I know you and your son went to a few Timberwolves games. How awesome has it been to see this not only on TV and live in the city of Minneapolis, but also to see it in person? I mean, Anthony Edwards, arguably one of the best players in the league, and now they're going on this great run. How has that been for you?
It's been unbelievable, and it's taken me back 20 years in my career to really what would have been a time when they had Garnett and Sprewell and Cassell and Wally. And they, that I was in my first or second year calling Vikings games. I had just moved to Minnesota full time 4 years prior, and my son was 3 years old and my daughter hadn't been born. So, when I put all that in perspective and how I just truly always have loved the NBA at a high level, it's so fun to see domination like this. It's great to see, at least from what I see or hear, sports fans and the basketball crowd enjoying it and not bashing the hockey crowd, and that's happened before both ways because it is the state of hockey, and hockey, is more popular than basketball all the way down to the youth level. But the domination and really for me and my son, because you mentioned it, we'll be at game 3 at Target Center, and we were at game 2 against the Suns. And this is a common thread with me and my son for probably 15 years, where I used to take him to a lot of Timberwolves games when he was 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So he's never seen a team like this. When I took him to the Suns game, it was the first Wolves playoff game he's ever been to. at age 23. So, all of that starting to hit him in a different way.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. He's Paul Allen, the voice of the Minnesota Vikings and also Canterbury Horse Park, located in Shakopee, Minnesota. Paul, I want to talk a little bit more about the Vikings trade. Obviously, it was a big one, specifically in the first round. You were hosting a event at US Bank Stadium. I got to watch a few clips, and your face and your voice, the octave of the voice that you have, jumped when you saw that they traded up to 10 to get J.J. McCarthy, the national champion quarterback from Michigan. Now that you've had a little time to digest the trade up to 10, what are your thoughts, and what do you look forward to most about J.J.?
It's an excellent question because, you said trade and there were trades, but, given the quarterback was the centerpiece of the evening. Now, with 6,000 there, how many ever at US Bank Stadium, first round of the draft? If it was a year, Dallas, where it was like Ryan Leaf or Peyton Manning or RG3 or Andrew Luck, if it was one of those years, it would have been different because the crowd would have been split. And if their guy didn't get taken, they would have gotten loud. Mm-hmm. Well, that wasn't the case this year, because I think smart football people ruled out Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, but you still had a puncher's chance for Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix. So it wasn't which quarterback, it was when. When is this going to happen? Because everybody in the world just felt it was going to happen, and it did. So that led to the massive exaltation. But, because of the circumstance of the first round with 14 offensive players going consecutively and 6 quarterbacks in the top 12, I don't think there ever will be 6 quarterbacks taken in the top 12 of a draft again. That's so antithetical to anything.
Yeah.
So given circumstance went the way of the Vikings, and they had assets to trade from 23 to 17 to get Dallas Turner. And I got friends of mine around the league who coach for other teams who are not in a position to move up and get Dallas Turner, but they spent time with him and they scouted him out and everything. And I had some really significant people telling me that's unbelievable that happened. Wish he was on our team. Good for you guys, because he's an absolute monster in the waiting. There are going to have to be things that are developed, and Dallas Turner, the edge from Alabama, is going to have to be all in on it. Okay, so like when you become a Hall of Famer or great, you get the right coaching, the right teammates, and the right offense if you're a defensive player, generally speaking, and then you have to have the desire. So if all of that meshes, but specifically him wanting to be HOF, because he's going to get the coaching with Brian Flores, mm-hmm. then I'm just being told the Vikings moved into something that could be really good for a long time.
Talking a little bit more about the draft, I really liked the 6th round pick, the kicker from Alabama, all-time NCAA Division I FBS scoring leader, and that was Will Richard. Is that correct? Will Richard? Reichert. Sorry, Will Reichert. Kind of a little snag pickup there. I thought it was a good pickup and kicker in the 6th. We'll see how it plays out, but what do you know about Will, and what are your thoughts on that pick?
Very accurate. I still have a lot of work to do on him before we get to mini camp and then the preseason games. But for them to draft a kicker indicates that they believe he's already, better than a majority of the kickers in the NFL, because a lot of kickers in the NFL, like Greg Joseph, has spent time with multiple teams. And so that therefore they're all in on him when you draft him. And then I think the next thing to do is to look at what happens when teams draft kickers. Like the Niners, I think, drafted one last year, and my man was lights out a majority of the year, but then he started missing big. Maybe too many kicks, too many reps, too long. I have no idea. But, you can go all the way back to kicking immortality, Dallas. I can't remember the year, but Sebastian Janikowski with the Raiders he was like the 17th overall pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Out of Florida State. Now, if you then what you're taking a kicker at 17, all right, it's stupid 9 out of 10 times. But he was the one, because you look at his 20+ year career and what he did, and he was every bit worth a first-round pick.
Spot on. He's Paul Allen, voice of the Minnesota Vikings in Canterbury Park. Paul, there's a lot of moving pieces with the Canterbury Horse Park. You and I are big into the thoroughbred ponies, if you will, and I'm excited to come there this summer and see you. And also, how does it feel to kind of get football season is a 24/7 type deal, but now you're getting to call some horse races. How big of a deal is that for you? And in Canterbury Park, they've made a brand new barn, some like a 7 furlong stretch type thing they're building. How exciting of a time is it for Canterbury Park?
It's great. I mean, a lot of us have worked there. This will be the 30th live season. It always hits me very hard when we start a season that, 1995 and the first season at Canterbury Park, that's what brought me to Minnesota. And the fact that what it has led to with family and kids and jobs and everything, I just have a lot of respect for Canterbury Park for that. It's most deeply rooted in my heart of all my jobs, and always has been and always will be. I love calling races. There comes a time in July when I got all 3 of them kicking in with K-Fan and Vikings training camp and Canterbury, and they're kind enough to let me take some days off late in the season so I can stay fresh. But when I get a little tired, I still love it. I just still love stepping up to the mic and the binoculars and looking at the field, and then hopefully we got 10 of them and it's on the turf and 5 are going to come down to the line together and you get one of those. I just really, really enjoy calling races.
Well, you're very good at it. And one more question here before you go. I know you said 15 minutes, so we'll try to keep it within that. But what have you heard around the Vikings locker room when it comes to TJ Hawkinson? Big part of the Vikings offense, very talented tight end. What have you heard and what can you share?
Well, there's nothing I've heard outside of what everybody else has heard, because I don't go pressing for information. I mean, I'm not being arrogant here, but I walked into the Power Trip morning show on K-Fan maybe 10 or 11 of 14 years and told them who the first round pick was going to be. Because getting that type of information and for the reasons that I wanted it mattered to me more than they do now. Ever since the O'Connell and Kwesi regime rolled in, I made a decision that I'm going to pull back on a lot of routes to interpersonal connection or relationships. And if God wants the coaches and the personnel people to be friends with me and vice versa, it's going to happen organically.
Right.
And it re-energized my love for the job. Because quite honestly, at the end of 2021, I was all done with the job. I just didn't want to do it anymore. And but then there were a lot of changes. I made that personal change. And so therefore I don't pick for information like on TJ Hawkinson. I know he's well respected. I know everybody in the league knows he gets up and down the field as fast as anybody. He can pull enough coverage away from Addison and Jefferson off the play action to really make a difference and make a lot of money. On the other side of it, I would say with TJ, what I would like to see next, and there should be a next, he's still young in his career. Mm-hmm. I would like to see him make the acrobatic circus, unbelievable catch. Like say when the Vikings lost to the LA Chargers 2 years ago, he had one in his hands at the goal stripe to win the game. It was a hard catch. It was a 7 of 10 hard, but he didn't make it. And there are other examples like that where I want to see him start to become the super gifted and talented and highly paid tight end who makes those unbelievable catches.
Spot on. Again, appreciate your time, PA. You're the man. Really appreciate you. You're my hero. And he's the voice of the Minnesota Vikings and the great and powerful Canterbury Horse Park located in Shakopee. Make sure you find your way this summer. And Paul, thank you and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Dallas. God bless.
Wow. I mean, doesn't get much better than that. I liked how he talked about Hawkinson there, taking the next steps. That makes sense. I also liked how he talked about Dallas Turner. I mean, when you look at Dallas Turner and you look at how he did things at Alabama, that's big. And the Vikings need some defensive help. So for them to get him and JJ, I know a lot of people, especially on Twitter, especially on Facebook, all social media, were like, oh, they shouldn't have done that. The Jets did this, the Jets did that. They fooled them. It doesn't matter. What matters is what happens when game one rolls around. And that NFC North, with the Bears being young, the Vikings being young, Packers have Jay Love. I mean, the Lions made a heck of a run this year. It's going to be a fun division to watch, and I cannot wait to watch it, and that's what makes the NFL fun. You've been listening to Paul Allen, the voice of the Minnesota Vikings and Canterbury Horse Park. We'll be back with our next selection here and a few words from a sponsor. Hey, hope you guys are all enjoying the show. Ever since 1972, BSN Sports has helped area sports teams look their best as they strive for their goals and dreams. They provide apparel, uniforms, and equipment for teams in nearly every sport. Local service with a national reach. That is BSN Sports. Contact your local BSN Sports representative for more information. BSN Sports is a proud sponsor of Swim Lessons, the podcast. All right, Jason, you good to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Jason Dunn in 3, 2, 1, go. Joining us now is Jason Dunn, a former 8-year pro with the Kansas City Chiefs. Jason, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
We were talking a little bit here before we hopped on about the importance of undrafted free agents, specifically now in the NFL, where you've got a lot of talent coming out of college. One of your former teammates, one of my all-time favorite players, was Priest Holmes. Very talented running back. What do you think made Priest so good and so hungry coming out of that? Because he was an undrafted free agent. What were your thoughts on his work ethic and how he was as a player and human being?
Well, I tell you what, I think, undrafted free agents, and even you could say guys in later rounds, definitely have a different motor, maybe a chip on their shoulder. Because they feel like they might have been shafted and not recognized for what they gave on the field. And so they understand that the hard work is what's going to keep them in. It's what's going to get them there. But also, too, like I said, retain, a job for them. And so they're not going to take any snap, any play, any practice for granted, because they understand how hard of a road that is. And sometimes when you get to that place, you realize that all I needed was a foot in the door. I just needed an opportunity to show what I can do. And so I think with guys like that, Priest just had an impeccable skill that, obviously you've seen what he was able to do, Pro Bowl. And, actually, I think, to be honest with you, I think he has a Hall of Fame career, at least should be considered of it.
Oh, yeah.
So, but that goes into, like you were talking about before, it's just his work ethic, his mindset of just being behind the 8 ball, right? Having to climb, the mountain to get to the top. And so I think he did that. But you see a lot of guys that come in, that's undrafted, that have that chip on their shoulder, have that hunger, that drive about them.
You weren't an undrafted free agent. You were the 2nd-round pick. What is something you could say to perhaps somebody who's drafted in the 2nd round of expectations going into the NFL and something that you found was a big learning curve?
Well, really, it's a lot of the pressure that you have, knowing that, the team is relying on you, being in a privileged position of being one of the first names being called for any team is a great honor. And so if anything, and I've given this advice to some guys that's been drafted, obviously 2nd, 3rd, and 1st rounders, is, you got to take it all in. Don't lose the love of the game, but also too, treat it like it's a business.
Yeah.
It's a job.
Yeah.
And so sometimes guys might come in flippantly, thinking like, oh, this is just like college. I'm going to be like the guy. And it's like, no, like this is, this is the real deal. And if you don't perform, it's a performance-based business. And if you don't perform, even as a 2nd round or 3rd round pick, they will get rid of you.
Yeah.
That's how it works in the NFL. When they say NFL, not for long, that's what they mean. That's what they mean. So.
Well, there was a guy that you played with that Hall of Fame career, and somebody that I wanted to mention to you, but Tony Gonzalez. Tony Gonzalez,
Yes.
what was he like in a huddle when you lined up? Because you both played the tight end position, and it's kind of interesting because you were great and he was great, so you two kind of tailored each other. But what's Tony Gonzalez like?
Tony is a guy is one of those hard workers, determination to get the job done. He had an unbelievable motor as far as like not getting tired. You never really seen him, winded.
Right.
To be honest with you, his mindset was he was always going to be able to win. Against any defense, against any guy out there, and he just had confidence. But that took perseverance. It took, like I said, the determination. It took failure to get to that point. And so he would tell you himself that, it was a hard road for him. That sometimes his level of success didn't come early. It came after, having a bad year of dropping the football and, having some self-doubt that he had to go back into like the lab and kind of reinvent himself, right? He had to go back into the hard work, doing the things technically sound to become the Hall of Fame player that he is, right? Regarded as one of the greatest tight end ever played a game.
Yeah.
I still have him up there right now at the moment. And then Travis Kelce right there beside him. And so that's the way I view it. But Tony, man, he's a guy, man, and he's got a great heart. That's another thing too. So that's who Tony is. He's a champion. He's a winner. So
we've Yeah, no, I get. And one of my favorite photos of you is, and we're going to use this on the show as well, is when you're propping up Priest Holmes after he didn't maybe just break the single season rushing record, but he was probably damn close, and that had to have been a special moment for you as well.
Well, it is. Anytime that you're part of guys, kind of accolades that they're able to get, and they appreciate you for what you do. For them, because it's a team sport, and guys in the NFL understand, running backs, quarterbacks, wide receivers, they understand that these things is not, you're just not an individual. Like,
right.
This is a team sport. It's like one of the last team sports that you have out there, and they can't do it alone. So probably the picture that you saw me holding up Priest is probably one of maybe, several, like,
yeah.
Hundreds of them, man.
Yeah.
I mean, because I was always in when Priest was scoring, and I'd tell Priest run behind me. And to me, I always felt like, hey, let's give these guys right here, give them their flowers, hold them up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
For everybody to see. And so it was always, it was a good feel for me to be able to do that, man, because I was just very happy and, just joyous anytime my guys scored touchdowns. But Priest, man, was somebody that was special, man. I mean, he not saying that he needed my help all the time, because he had ability that can make people miss on his own.
Yeah, and he's, like I told you earlier, one of the best, I think, in my mind, at the running back position, especially for the Kansas City Chiefs organization. He's Jason Dunn. You can find him at Twitter at JASUSTD89. Jason, switching gears here a little bit, I want to talk about this Kansas City Chiefs team that we have now. The draft was amazing. I did a podcast with Carson Wentz on Friday, talked a little bit about Xavier Worthy, and one thing that Carson said that him and Coach Reed talked about was taking the top off the defense, getting guys like Travis open, getting guys like this Jared Wiley, the new tight end rookie that we got. How big is it to not only have a kid like Xavier come in that broke the combine 40-yard dash time, but what do you think it's going to do to this offense for Kansas City? Do you like having a good slice of pizza or an adult beverage with your best friends? Well, I got the perfect place for you to do that at. It's called Sports on Tap in Minot, North Dakota, along with Planet Pizza. Minot's best place to have any kind of fun. They've been locally owned and operated by the Mueller family for the last 30 years. Find them on Facebook at Sports on Tap, or give them a call at 701-837-8220. Sports on Tap, the best place to have the best fun.
You know what? I said this on the show on Chief Concerns, is that this will open up the offense to what we used to see with Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
If you will. You're going to start actually pressuring the defense. I mean, you're going to put these guys, and I said this, the corners and the safety is going to have to open up backpedaling immediately when they get off the bus, because Xavier Worthy is just that fast.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. I said, so it's gonna be Olympic track meet, no doubt about it. I said, man, it looks like the relay team when you have Xavier Worthy, you got Hollywood Brown, and these guys who have the ability, like I said, can actually pick them up and put them down with the best of them. I mean, a 4.2 had the fastest time ever. I mean, they're just going to have defenses in nightmares, waking up in cold sweats. So that's what you want to be able to have. And so Andy's going to be able to drum up a lot of different plays. He's going to be able to create a lot of different things, concepts for Xavier Worthy to get open. And so that's the threat of the defense. But what that does also too is, when it puts them on the heels, that gives a wide receiver screen, or you can hand the ball off to Pacheco when they decide not to load the box and they had everybody out in coverage. So it just changes the whole dynamic of what you do offensively.
How big of a loss was L'Jarius Sneed in your mind?
Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you what. It's a huge loss. It's just a huge loss. Just because of his playmaking ability, his versatility, being able to play inside and outside with guys, his physicality at the point of attack, playing man. I said we have probably the best man corners in the league, and it's not even, hyperbole or joking about it. I mean, I really do believe that. And L'Jarius Sneed, there's going to be a void, but I think we've done a pretty good job of drafting guys. Joshua Williams, Jalen Watson, are guys I think can fill the shoes of L'Jarius Sneed. Now, they may not have the full ability, but they have similar body types. They've been successful in this defense. Spags trust them. I think that was one of the reasons they was able to allow or feel comfortable in letting L'Jarius Sneed go get a new contract. And so I have a lot of trust in those young guys, man. I tell you what, when I was trying to yell to the hills about how good these guys were, people just didn't want to believe it. And I said, look, man, when these guys came in and you challenged Buffalo, and of course Diggs got a couple of them, I was like, look, they're going to be good. This is what you do first. Spags understand it. Challenge these guys early. Throw them in the fire, and see how they're gonna respond. And they did a good job of it.
I think it's Trent McDuffie time, Jason, if you will, man. He's going to be a stud, and again, Brett Veach drafted him, and that was in the first round. And it's like, oh, we got a corner out of Washington. Who's Trent McDuffie? And here he's like this all-star guy. So yeah.
The thing is, I didn't even mention Trent because I knew Trent had that whole side over there locked down. That's it. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, Trent, he's in his own, atmosphere right now. He's good. So we don't have to worry about that side. So. No,
exactly. I want to talk a little bit more about a position here with the tight ends. TCU, Jared Wiley, 4th round draft pick. He's already getting comparisons to Travis Kelce, kind of same body type, got a little speed to him, can catch the football extremely well. Where do you see Jared Wiley being in this Chiefs offense?
Young guy coming in. I think he'll be a nice piece to kind of transition into some of the things that we do. Hopefully we'll do a lot of, 12, 13. And I said, with the tight ends we have on the staff right now on the team, 14 personnel. I don't think that's beyond the possibility of thinking, especially with the type of talent we have there. But Jared Wiley, man, what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure that people understand how talented this guy is, just with his length, the way he's able to catch footballs. He has great hands, catches anything thrown to him. But I want to always try to temper the whole comparison to Kelce, right?
Right.
I said Jared Wiley is going to be his own thing. And it's going to be good to see, especially when you're having the tutelage and you're getting all the information and the knowledge from Travis Kelce and watching him. He said he's been watching him for the past three or 4 years. Now being in the room, not only does he have Travis Kelce, but now he has Noah Gray and he has Irv Smith too to learn all that from.
I forgot they got Irv Smith. He's good too. He came from Cincinnati.
Yeah, and then Minnesota. And so Irv came back from Alabama. He was one of the top-rated tight ends, and obviously injuries and whatnot kind of derailed him from being that guy, but he still has that ability. And if he's healthy like I think he is, he's going to add a whole lot of different dimension to what we do offensively.
And Noah Gray is good too. So this team coming up could carry 4 tight ends at all times, potentially.
Yeah, I do believe that, especially with the type of athletic ability they have, they could play special teams, and you'll need guys like that. And so me, I'm always, I'm a tight end guy.
Yeah.
I say put it on the tight ends. These guys can do everything. If you want to bring the 4 in and let them, because all of them can catch, all of them can run routes, and all of them can body people up. So I'm always trusting in the tight ends, man. You know that.
Oh yeah, yeah, hell yeah, man. I love that. Give tight end you a chance here.
That's right. That's right.
Schedule comes out next week. A few home games they've alerted us about with no specific dates, but you've got Baltimore coming to Arrowhead. You've got Cincinnati coming to Arrowhead. Kind of the 2 marquees. Which is there a specific matchup? Obviously, without looking at the schedule, but just seeing home, who Jason Dunn, you're specifically looking forward to?
I think the Baltimore matchup is going to be a good one.
Yeah.
I think Baltimore and all the fans out there believe, and of course the pundits and everybody was talking about the Ravens, how good they weren't going to be. They're going to the Super Bowl. And I think they felt like the Chiefs got away with one last year.
I think so too.
But the reality is, if they was watching the Chiefs and how they, at the very end, what they were doing, I think they were ripe to be beaten. I think they would kind of look past the Chiefs. And so the Chiefs had to go in and display what they always displayed on how elite of a team they really are. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, particularly, just really kind of, destroyed the defense. But I think Baltimore is one of the teams I want to see them play. That's going to be a very, very exciting with one of the 2 best quarterbacks in the business.
He's Jason Dunn, 8 seasons with Kansas City. Also, you can find him on Twitter at JASUSTD89. Jason, give us a quick plug where people can find Chief Concerns and where they can find some more of your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you said it on Twitter, and we're right on YouTube with Chief Concerns. We're on Apple and Spotify. So if you go Chief Concerns YouTube, you can check us out. We do live shows on Monday and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central Time. And so, we interact with a lot of people on our show, and it's a good show because you could come and say your piece. We answer your questions. We have people. We just had Jaron Hinckley for the wide receiver from Villanova.
Really?
Was undrafted free agent. Yeah, we just had him on the show. Oh, it was amazing. He's an incredible kid. He's going to give a lot to the team. Like I was saying before, like that determination, he's a guy that has that. And so I was very happy for him that the Chiefs seen what he could do. And we'll see how this all going to transpire when camp comes around. But yeah, you'll see us on there, Apple, Spotify. Come check us out. Come see us. It's a family with Chief Concerns. Anytime people come in our show, man, you are part of Chief Concerns family. And so not just be part of the kingdom, become some of the Chief Concerns family, man. We'd love to have you. Come see us.
Well, I appreciate you, Jason. This meant a lot to me, and I'm looking forward to actually sitting down and doing a podcast with you here in the future. And appreciate you, and have a great rest of your day.
Appreciate it, Dallas.
Thank you.
You too now.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Hey, Swim Less listeners, I think you'll like this next one. I know I love them, and it's PSP Network. It's game day, promoting local athletes since the beginning of time, basically. Nick Holberg and his team do a fantastic job with PSP Network, and they are right now in the heart of baseball and softball season, so make sure you check out their schedule of events on their website. That's psp.network, or on YouTube at PSP Network. Shout out PSP, and shout out Nick Holberg, Sportscaster of the Year here in this great state of North Dakota. That concludes today's Monday Revelation show. I appreciate everybody tuning in. This show is going to get better. We're going to talk a little more gambling here moving forward. We're going to talk horse racing in the future as well. But appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm going to leave everybody with a video that I found inspirational. It's with the great Jerry Seinfeld, and he's talking about there's so much worrying in today's day and age, and sometimes you have to just tailor it back and listen to this. I found it inspirational. I think everybody else will too.
I've always had the skill of extracting the essence of any subject.
Yes.
I study, be it Scientology, Judaism, Zen, yoga, meditation.
Right.
On the
Marcus Aurelius is my new one.
How so?
The Roman emperor who wrote a book called Meditations, which was the beginning of Stoicism. And that's my obsession now, is Marcus Aurelius. He had this fantastic philosophical observations on life.
And you've learned what from that?
That everything that you're worried about is going to be gone like that. The people that are criticizing you, they're going to be gone, you're going to be gone. All this hand-wringing worry and concern over how are people viewing me, and someone said something bad about me and you get so upset about it, is wasted time.
Spot on. Appreciate that, and appreciate everybody. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.